Congressman, you've written a letter to Secretary of Defense Leon Panetta asking about the military equipment that our troops are no longer using in Iraq and Afghanistan. How did you come up with that idea?
Well, first of all, the local sheriffs and the Border Patrol and the state officials that patrol the border, they need help. Contrary to what some people in Washington think, the border is a terrible place in some areas for the drug cartels when they come across. They're very violent. So they need equipment. Taxpayers have paid for this equipment. It's been used. It's veteran equipment. Some of it's very good equipment. And it's going to be brought back to the U.S., stored someplace. Why not just send this equipment to the border where they need it? And we're talking about specific equipment. We're talking about Humvees, the new Humvees that they have, drones, and then night vision equipment. Send it to the border. Let the border sheriffs, border patrol, state officials use it.
You go down to the border frequently. I've been down there, and you can see, despite what this administration, what President Obama and Janet Napolitano want the public to think, they insist the border is safer than ever. We've seen it, you've seen it. It is by no means safe or secure.
I don't know why the administration, and specifically Homeland Security, lives in blissful ignorance of the truth. And there are portions of the border that are secure, primarily the legal ports of entry. But the other places, in between the legal ports of entry, is where the drug cartels bring in their drugs. And they come in armed into the United States to protect their load. Talk to the people who live on the border. Talk to the citizens who live on the border. The ranchers who put on bulletproof vests when they go out to look for their cattle during the day. They do that because of the fear of the drug cartels. And the local sheriffs who know exactly what's taking place. Local officials know. And the Border Patrol doesn't talk much because they've gotten those orders to just not say a whole lot about it. Let the administration handle it. But people need to go and see exactly the portions of the border that are unsecure, where the drug cartels do their mischief. And that's one reason why we need to help the border protectors.
As you mentioned, the sheriffs need all the help they can get. But what do you say to those critics who say, why would we give this equipment to them? This is militarizing the border. What do you say to that?
Well, I don't know what they mean by militarize the border. Border security is a national security issue. It is something the federal government is supposed to do. It's supposed to protect us from people who wish to come in the United States and do us harm. And that includes, in my opinion, the invasion by the drug cartels coming in the U.S. So using military equipment to help our locals is something that we should do. Our local sheriffs and the Border Patrol and the local state officials, they are outmanned, outgunned, and outfinanced by the drug cartels. We know that. Let's help the border protectors because national security is something that we ought to do.
And isn't part of this battle having a presence? Because right now, the cartels are not by any way intimidated because there is no presence on the border.
We don't have enough boots on the ground. And I believe the Border Patrol does as good a job as they can. But I believe also that the philosophy is somewhat skewed. Our philosophy seems to be that we catch them if you can. In other words, we let people cross in the U.S., and then the Border Patrol tries to catch as many as they can and then send them back. And of course, if they're the drug cartels, try to prosecute them. The system should be that we should have a presence on the border to keep people, primarily the drug cartels, from coming into the United States. Because once they come into the United States, they become our problem. So the presence should be on the border. We should rethink our whole philosophy about border security and not be 25 miles behind the border trying to catch people, catch the drug cartels after they've crossed.
You made a good point about this being a national security issue, and it really is no longer just a border issue, is it? I mean, I was just talking with sheriffs in North Carolina who said they've got the Sinaloa cartel operating in their backyards.
Americans need to understand that when those drugs come into the United States by the drug cartels, those drugs are sent to other parts of the United States, and their operatives in different cities continue to sell those drugs. The Zetas are the main problem we have in Texas, the most violent of all of the drug cartels. And they've set up their little cells and their operations in our cities to sell the drugs. Americans should realize that, and that these people work for an international organized crime syndicate that is committing crimes not only in Mexico, but in the U.S.
One of the questions you asked Secretary Panetta was whether They plan to sell this equipment to foreign militaries and governments before they make it available to local law enforcement right there on the border. Makes sense to you that we'd give it to foreign governments before we'd give it to our local sheriffs?
How ironic is it that the United States right now is protecting the borders of other nations? That we may use this equipment from Iraq, either give it or sell it to nations that want to protect their national security and their borders, but yet we're hesitant to give it to local people and even Border Patrol agents who need the equipment to protect the border and the national security of the United States. It seems to be somewhat ironic.
And the sheriffs have already told you, they've, 17 of them signed that letter, saying this is a win-win situation for everybody.
And the Board of Sheriffs do support the letter that Congressman Cuellar and I have sent to Secretary Panetta and asking that we use this equipment that's already paid for. Let the people who need it use it, and they want it. It's not like they don't want it or need it. They're asking for it. So let's take care of America first.
How frustrating is it to you to be doing what you're doing, fighting this war for these deputies and sheriffs down there? How long does it take to get an answer?
It seems like it's taken too long to get an answer. We need to have an answer right away for a lot of reasons, not just because the problem is still there. It's that this equipment is staged now in Kuwait, and the Department of Defense is going to send it somewhere. So before that decision is made on where you're going to send it to the border of the United States, because once the decision is made by the Department of Defense, we've got to then try to reroute the equipment to the border. So time is very important. It seems like this is not a difficult decision to make to me.
But does it seem like it's a priority of this government?
Well, the administration, in my opinion, does not seem to have the enthusiasm, the intensity of protecting the border as it should be. So these drug cartels are not just a bunch of thugs smuggling drugs in the U.S. They're highly intelligent, they are businessmen, many of them are highly educated, and they know how to work a very profitable, illegal, organized crime business. And money is no issue to them. So we need to have the intensity, we need to have the enthusiasm, and first of all, we have to have the awareness that the border is still a problem when it comes to the drug cartels coming in the U.S.
What's at stake if President Obama and his administration continue to ignore what we're seeing happen down on the border?
We will wake up someday and people in the U.S. will start talking about, you know, there's some organized crime drug cartels working in our neighborhood, some different parts of the United States. No kidding. And then when they have those cells in operation, which they are continuing to do, and they have this network, then we have to deal more on a internal basis on what we're going to do with these drug cartel operations. So let's solve the problem right now at the border and deal with the reality of it. We know the problems that countries have when they have the internal problem of drug cartels. We found that out in Colombia. We're learning what's taking place in Mexico. We don't want that strong presence in the United States, but it could happen here because of the fact that they have access to the U.S. They're going to market their products, and we have to be aware of the situation right now. And Americans, unfortunately, because of really, I think, the national media, they're talking about other things other than national security on the border.
And you've got these boats down there. Do you have any indication they're making a difference?
The Department of Public Safety in Texas now will have a total of 6 of these boats, these speed boats that go 70 miles an hour on the Rio Grande River, 900 horsepower. They're armed with 50 caliber machine guns. The presence on the border on the Rio Grande River, surely I have heard anecdotal information from the Department of Public Safety, the Texas Rangers, that it's making a difference. And they will continue to do that and interdict the drug loads that are coming across the river. So it's a step, and it's money that was forfeited to the federal government that was given back to the state in the drug cartel operations.
And where would we be if we didn't have these sheriffs and deputies on the front lines, because there's nobody else on the front lines working it the way they are?
Well, it's imperative that these sheriffs work and their deputies. And I mean, God bless these people. You know, a deputy sheriff in one of these rural counties on the border makes about $25,000 a year. One of these drug runners bringing drugs in the U.S. for one of the cartels can make $5,000 a load. But yet these border sheriffs and their deputies, they do it because they think America is worth protecting. And I admire them for that, because they are out-financed, outgunned, and outmanned by the drug cartels.
Do you see this as an issue so important that it should be something that they talk about on the campaign trail this year?
Yes. I think that the president and the Republican nominee, presumably Governor Romney, they ought to be talking about this. It's a national security issue. And maybe get off of these little issues that have nothing to do with the country and talk about border security. I doubt if we will hear a whole lot about it, though.
What more has to happen on the border? How many more people do we have to see pay a price for what we're not doing, and that's securing the border?
It's phenomenal to me that we, as a nation, as the administration, focus on other things other than the national security of the U.S. when it comes to the southern border. It's a national security issue. The drug cartels at will invade the U.S. Doesn't that bother anybody? It bothers the people who live on the border. And many times they are prepared, they are violent if necessary. So it's something that national press not only should be concerned about, but Americans should be concerned about and aware of it as well.